Good morning, students. So, again, we are back with the next lecture. Students, again, I would like to request you to please uh, complete your assignments on time and submit it on the email ID given. Those who have not downloaded the assignments, please download the assignments from the school's website and complete it and submit it on the due date. After seeing the presentations, please do not forget to leave your comments, which will help me to decide if there are any changes required in the mode of presentations. So we'll start with new chapter straight away. Chapter number 3, measures to overcome barriers in communication. Students, there are a lot of barriers in the communication. Uh, Too many hurdles are there, uh, because of which we are not able to communicate to the receiver properly or effectively. So the process of communication has multiple barriers. There are a number of barriers depending on the situation or geography or demography and many other factors. The intended communique will often be disturbed and distorted, leading to a condition of misunderstanding and failure of communication. So there are many factors which would affect communication, which will lead to misunderstanding and also to the failure of communication. The barriers to effective communication could be of many types like linguistic, psychological, emotional, physical, and cultural, etc. So we'll be studying about all these barriers in our uh, following topics. The very first of all is the linguistic barriers. Now, the linguistic barriers is the uh, topmost or the main affecting barrier for any communication. Now, any type of communication which is not performed in a proper language or the language which could be understood by everyone whom you are communicating, so this may lead the communication as ineffective. So the language barrier is one of the main barriers that limit effective communication. Language is the most commonly employed tool of communication. So maximum of our communication is through our language only. The fact that each major region has its own language. So as we know that in India, we have a number of regional languages, and we have to keep a track record of in which region or area we are communicating. As per some estimates, the dialects of every two regions changes within a few kilometers. So it is quite seen that in a few kilometers around the borders, or maybe in the same regions which are very nearly located, the language or the communication language may change. Even in some workplace, different employees will have different linguistic skills. So even in the organizations and working places, we can see that people come from diverse regions, and they all have a different type of linguistic skills. Some are more conversant and comfortable in Hindi, and some people are maybe more conversant in English. Thus, keeping this barrier in mind, different considerations have to be made for different employees. Some of them are very proficient in certain language, and others will be okay with these languages. So everybody has a different command over any certain specific language. Now, There are various mental and psychological issues that may be barriers to effective communication. Now we have a very great impact of psychology in communication. Some people have stage fear, speech disorders, phobia, depression, etc. All these conditions are very difficult to manage sometimes and will most certainly limit the ease of communication. So, many people have some stage fear. They are not able to, speak that fluently as they do on stages. And some people have some speech disorders. That means they are not able to speak clearly, and some people are suffering from depression, and because of this they are not able to give their 100%. So psychological barriers are also very much kept in mind while communicating. Emotional barriers. Now the EQ, it is also known as EQ, that is emotional quotient of a person, determines the ease and comfort with which they can communicate. A person who is emotionally mature and will be able to communicate effectively. So the emotional quotient of a person, the emotional IQ of a person, if it is very high, then the person is very comfortably able to communicate. On the other hand, people who let their emotions take over will face certain difficulties. So many people are there, supposedly they are short tempered and some other issues. They are not able to communicate that fluently. A perfect mixture of emotions and fact is necessary for effective communication. So the emotions and facts are proportional to each other, and they should be very uh, they should be set in very much of coordination with each other. Emotions like anger, frustration, humor can blur the decision making capacities of a person and thus limit the effectiveness of their communication. So if a person who is not able to overpower his emotions may lead a communication as a failure. Now, physical barriers to communication. There are they are the most obvious barriers of effective communication. These barriers are mostly easily removable, in principle at least. They include barriers like noise, closed doors, faulty equipment used for communication. So the environmental issues that distort or disturb the uh, noise in the communication, and they may lead to an effective or maybe the failure of the communication. So sometimes in large office, the physical separation between the various employees combined with faulty equipment may result in severe barriers to effective communication. So sometimes in large offices, the separation between various employees combined with faulty equipment. If the equipment they are using, suppose they are using a mic and speakers, and if they are faulty, so the person is not able to communicate effectively to the employees. Now, cultural barriers to the of communication. Now, as the world is getting more and more globalized, any large office may have people from several parts of the world. So, as we can see that nowadays in the corporate sectors, a person is employed. They have a diversity from all over the world. The people who are working in these corporate sectors are employed from all over the world, so they belong to different cultures, different societies. So the dressing, religions, and lack of them, uh, food, drinks, pets, and the general behavior will change drastically from one culture to another. So the habits, the fooding habits, the dressing habit, their uh, uh, um, behavior habits may change from culture to culture. Hence, it's a must that we must take these different cultures into account while communication. So all these diversities should be kept in mind while communicating in a big organization. This is what we call being culturally appropriate. So this particular consideration is known as to be culturally appropriate. In many multinational companies, special courses are offered at the orientation stages that let people know about other cultures and how to be courteous and tolerant of others. So, in many of the multinational companies and the corporate sectors, a special training is given to their employees just before they're joining so that they can understand how to tolerate and to, uh, you know, gain knowledge about the other cultures they are going to work with. Organizational structural barriers. As we saw, there are many methods of communication at an organizational level. Each of these methods has its own problems and constraints that may become barriers to effective communication. Now, every organization, it has a different working environment, and maybe the methods of communication. Sometimes the meetings held in these organizations could be verbal meetings or maybe some written notices or through some visual audio visual aids. So at every organization, the method of communication may be different. So each of these methods has its own problems and constraints. So every methods may not be equally beneficial or effective for the organization or the employees or the receivers of the communication. Most of these barriers arise because of misinformation or lack of appropriate transparency available to the employees. So these you know um, uh, barriers may arise due to lack of information or lack of transparency, that means clarity to the employees. Now, attitude barriers. Every person has a different attitude. Generally, in normal speaking, attitude is the word used for a person who is very seems to be a very proud type of person, but actually the attitude is not related to pride. Attitude means the way a person behaves, or the way a person likes to spend his life. So certain people like to be left alone. So some people like to live in isolation. They restrain themselves from being social. They are introverts or just people who are not very social. Others like to be social or sometimes extra clingy. Some of the people are too social, and they can literally talk to anybody, whether they are known to them or not. Both these cases could become a barrier to the communication. So in both the cases, the extreme isolation or a person who is not too social, as well as the person who is quite social and clingy, may be a barrier to the communication. Some people have attitude issues like huge ego and uh, inconsiderate behavior. Some people, have a good amount of ego in themselves, and they are not, uh, they do not agree maybe to some other people, and they are always bent upon that the people should listen to them only and believe on them and think the way these people think. So these employees can cause severe strain in the communication channels that they are present in. Certain personality traits like shyness, anger, social anxiety may be removable through courses and proper training. So we can remove some of these, barriers like shyness or anger or anxiety through some training and some courses. However, problems like egocentric behavior and selfishness may not be correctable. So certain behaviors like egoistic behavior or selfishness, they cannot be overpowered, and the person has to be you know should do a self introspection to remove these barriers. Now, perception barriers. Now, different people look at the same thing differently. A person, have a different views uh, 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 about something, maybe good or bad, but it may not be the case with the other person. So every person thinks differently. So this is a fact which we must consider during communication process. So we should not always be in a perception or misconception that whatever we are saying will be agreed by all. Knowledge of the perception levels of the audience is crucial for effective communication. So it is very, very important that the person whom you are communicating, you should have a sound knowledge of what they think about anything or the topic on which you are communicating. All the messages or communic must be easy and clear. So we should not use some uh, you know uh, make use of some words which are not easily understood by all or some people. There shouldn't be any room for diversified uh, interpretational set. So uh, at the end of the communication, we should always be always go for a universal or unanimous perception. So we should not be uh, you know we should not look for that we have a different perception between different receivers. Now, physiological barriers. Some people who may be physically retarded, and they might be having some disorders or diseases. It could also prevent the effective communication. Suppose somebody is deaf, or maybe he is dumb, or maybe he is blind. So while giving a presentation to such people in inappropriate method may lead to a failure of communication. The shrillness of voice, dyslexia, etc., are some example of physiological barriers to effective communication. Then, however, these are not crucial because they can be compensated and removed. So we can overcome these types of barriers with uh, uh, designing of different methods and ways to communicate to people who are suffering from these types of barriers. Technological barriers and socio-religious barriers. So we have some other type of barriers like technological barriers. The technology is developing fast, and as a result it becomes difficult to keep up with the newest development. So as we know that the technology is progressing day by day, and it is not possible, or it's not very easy to cope up with the growing technology and to be abreast with the latest technologies. Hence sometimes the technological advance may become a barrier. So maybe sometimes if we do not have a sound knowledge of the technology, this may lead to an ineffective communication. And maybe sometimes when we are communicating, the cost of communication may be very high. Now, most of the organizations will not be able to afford a decent technology for the purpose of communication. Uh, you know, Hence, this becomes a very crucial barrier. Other barriers are socio-religious barriers. In a patriarchal society, a woman or a transgender may face many difficulties and barriers while communicating. So, generally, as per the stereotyping of our society, especially women and transgender, they face, a little bit of difficulty in communicating to the normal public. So all these barriers should also be eradicated, and uh, a proper solution should be found with these barriers. Now there are several types of barriers that we've studied about. Now how to effectively remove these barriers so that the communication is a success. So most of the above mentioned barriers can be overcome by a skilled communicator. So a skilled communicator is the one who can understood who can understand the different difficulties faced while communicating, and he is able to derive a proper way so that his communication is successful. So obviously, bridging gaps in geography and communicating through disabilities are a topic for a different discussion. Below, we will look at some tools that can be used to bridge barriers in everyday communication. So, some of the barriers that we have mentioned earlier, like psychological barriers, physiological barriers. So these types of barriers require a proper training and a guidance from a particular specialized person. But most of the barriers, they can be uh, you know used to overcome with a little bit of changes in our way of communication. Now what are these ways? uh, Active listening. Now active listening is a skill that can be acquired and developed with practice. However, this skill can be difficult to master and will therefore take time and patience. So active listening means whenever somebody is speaking to someone, or the if somebody is responding to somebody, the listener should be very prompt and patient to listen what the other person is trying to say. Active listening means, as its name suggests, actively listening. That means paying full attention while listening. This is fully concentrating on what is being said rather than just hearing the message of the speaker. So, listening to the speaker is not enough, but listening patiently and understanding what the speaker is trying to tell is known as active listening. Now, active listening involves listening with all senses. So we have to listen to a speaker with all our senses, as well as giving full attention to the speaker. It is most important that the active listener is also seen to be listening. Otherwise, the speaker may conclude that what they are talking about is uninteresting to the listener. So the listener should be very very attentive while listening, so that it does not communicate to the speaker of the communication that the topic on which the speaker is speaking is not very interesting, or the listener is not interested in listening to what the speaker is saying. By providing this feedback, the person speaking will usually feel more at ease and therefore communicate more easily, openly, and honestly. So, when a person is actively listening, it communicates to the speaker that uh, you know the listener is quite attentive, and it will provide more ease and comfort to the speaker. There are both verbal and non-verbal cues that convey active listening. So we can convey our active listening with the help of uh, you know verbal method or non-verbal method. With the help of our gestures also, we can convey to the speaker that we are listening to them attentively. Non-verbal signs include smiling, making eye contact, nodding at appropriate times, and avoiding distractions. So, in the non-verbal communication, we, respond to the communication with the help of our gestures, like nodding, making some eye contact, and you know, avoiding some distractions, that is looking here and there. These non-verbal cues convey the message that you are interested in what the speaker has to say and that in your attention is fully invested. So, by giving these types of gestures, the listener is able to communicate that he is quite attentive and interested in the communication. Offering verbal signs of active listening can also be useful. So, saying yes or okay, I have understood the communication, also gives a feedback to the speaker that the listener has been quite attentive to the communication. Now, use of simple language. So, the main factor to avoid any type of barrier, or maybe most of the barriers, is use of simple language, use of simple glossary and terminologies. So it's important to remember the audience that you are speaking to and use language that can be easily understood. So first of all, the speaker should be very, very uh, you know attentive about that where he is speaking and the listeners are comfortable with which language. So he should choose the language in which most of the or all of the listeners are uh, comfortable with. Using of very extreme words like best and everything should be avoided, and some medical terminology should be avoided, uh, so that the people do not misinterpret your communication. Now people are often intimidated by such language and can be afraid to admit that they don't understand the message being delivered. Now if the listener is not able to understand what the communicator or the speaker has to say, then sometimes they may not respond to the communication, and they would also restrain themselves for giving the feedback on the communication, and maybe they are not able to understand the message that is being delivered. An important tool to use when speaking is to pause occasionally and ask questions to ensure that your message is being understood as intended. So it is a very good practice for a speaker to pause in between his communications to ask about the various queries and questions, so that he is conveyed that so far the message is being communicated successfully or not. You may also allow the listener to ask questions to clarify any points. The speaker should allow any sort of query or questions by the listeners, so that the speaker gets the idea or is able to rectify or clarify the doubts in the mind of listeners. Give constructive feedback. Now, as we studied earlier, that feedback is a very important part of our communication, because it lets us to the conclusion whether the communication has been successfully delivered or not. So, while the feedback that you give the speaker sender may occasionally be negative, it is important that that it be constructive in nature. So the feedback should not only be negative, or the feedback giver should not criticize the speaker, but rather the feedback should be constructive. That means there should be ways to modify or rectify, so that the communications uh, is more effective and useful in the future communications. This will strengthen the interpersonal relationship and enhance future communications. As I told you, so this will strengthen the interpersonal relationship. So whenever a person gives a good advice to the speaker, this improves the relations between them, and as well as it will help to enhance and improve the quality of communication in the future. Now, summary of this chapter is that as living beings, we need to express and understand the expression of others. Like it or not, human society thrives on communication. So, man is a social animal, and the biggest power that we have as social animals or man is our language only. So the communication is a vital part of our lives. Civilizations have risen and fallen based upon how good they were at maintaining sound relation with the set of the world. Now the civilization of any part of the world is quite based on the their communication and how they look at the world. Communication is indeed the very lubricant that makes the machinery of human relation functions smoothly. So it is communication only which build relations between different people, different cultures, and different countries, and so on. Therefore, the significance of communication cannot and should not be underestimated. So, we should never underestimate, or we should never, lack the communication skills. Sometimes difficult situations in life can be resolved by just sitting down and talking it out. So, communication is a way through which we can simplify our life. If we are stressed and we can talk to somebody, and then this communication may lead to the simplification of our problems. Similarly, most personal, professional, and social disasters can be averted by maintaining clear, appropriate, and unambiguous communication. So we can overcome many personal and professional and social disasters. We can avoid them by a good, clear, appropriate, and uh, you know uh, clear communication. All we need is some effort on our part to identify and avoid barriers to effective communication, to make our lives and the lives of those around us better. So, all we need to eradicate or remove the barriers of communication is, on our part, we should identify and avoid all these barriers for effective communication, not only to make our lives better, but make the lives of the people around us even better. So this is the chapter number 3. So I hope you understood all the topics. So students, please go through this chapter, and please do not forget to leave the comments. So thank you very much.